Chinese President Xi Jinping has arrived in Indonesia for an Asian-African summit and activities commemorating the 1955 Bandung Conference. Xi Jinping is due to deliver a speech to the leaders' meeting in Jakarta, where he is expected to lay out thoughts on how to increase Asia-Africa cooperation. He is also due to have several bilateral meetings with other world leaders before heading to the city of Bandung to attend events marking the 60th anniversary of the first Asian-African Conference. This is the first time Xi Jinping has been back in Indonesia since October of 2013. Before leaving for Indonesia, Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered a speech at a joint sitting of Pakistan's parliament, calling for enriching the content of what he calls the China-Pakistan Community of Common Destiny. Xi Jinping has used his speech to Pakistani lawmakers to describe ties between China and Pakistan as unique, saying the two countries support each other on their core interests. During his time in Pakistan, Xi Jinping oversaw the signing of over 50 bilateral agreements said to be worth some $46 billion. The Solar Impulse 2 has finally arrived at Nanjing. It took nearly 17 hours for the Swiss-made aircraft to arrive in Nanjing from Chongqing, where it had been grounded for over a month because of bad weather conditions. The plane will remain in Nanjing for an unspecified number of days before it makes the next leg of its journey to Hawaii. The Solar Impulse 2's around-the-world adventure includes 12 stops. It's scheduled to be completed in 5 months. Chinese lawmakers are now strict tobacco advertising as part of an amendment to the country's advertising laws. The new plans would forbid tobacco advertising through mass media and in public places. The draft is said to be close to what's being required under the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. However, there has reportedly been heated discussion around ambiguities in the wording of the amendment, including how to define a public venue. China is both the world's largest tobacco consumer and producer. South Africa's government has begun deploying the army in areas of Durban and Johannesburg to try to stop attacks on foreigners. The two cities have been embroiled in xenophobic violence for close to a month, with locals targeting foreigners amid rampant complaints about high unemployment. The violence, said to have been spurred by a xenophobic speech delivered by a tribal Zulu king some 3 weeks ago, has left 7 people dead and some 5,000 others homeless. The targets have mostly been other Africans, including people from Zimbabwe, Somalia, Ethiopia, and Malawi. No Chinese nationals have been injured to this point. However, a number of Chinese-owned businesses have been targeted. Supporters of ousted Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi are blasting his first conviction since his ouster. The courts in Egypt have sentenced Morsi to 20 years for his role in the killing of protesters in 2012. The so-called Egyptian Revolutionary Council, based in Turkey, is describing the verdict as a complete breakdown in the rule of law. Morsi, Egypt's first democratically elected president, was overthrown in 2013 following a popular uprising which led to the military stepping in. Libyan authorities have detained around 450 migrants from sub-Saharan Africa. The migrants are said to be among those hoping to make the treacherous journey to European territory. Word of the arrests comes as European rescue teams continue searching for an estimated 900 migrants believed to have drowned following the capsizing of a migrant boat off the coast of Libya over the weekend. The European Union has proposed a 10-point action plan this week to deal with the massive influx of migrants from North Africa. The Saudi-led coalition has ended its air campaign against the Houthi rebels in Yemen, citing success in achieving its military goals. The Saudi Defense Ministry says the air raids have destroyed numerous Houthi heavy weapon and missile sites. The campaign, dubbed Decisive Storm, began in late March. However, it has largely failed to halt the rebels' advance. A new operation called Restoring Hope is now being launched, with a focus on a political solution in Yemen. The sentencing trials for convicted Boston Marathon bomber Zoka Zanev is underway. Prosecutors are calling on the jury to deliver a death sentence for the 21-year-old. For CRI, I'm Wenjia.
This is People in the Know, a weekday forum for in-depth coverage of the news shaping China, the world, and your life. Now here's your host, Cheng Cheng Wang.
China and Pakistan have decided to lift bilateral ties to all-weather strategic partnership of cooperation. It came during Chinese President Xi Jinping's first state visit to the South Asian country since he took office in 2013. During President Xi's two-day visit, the two countries also launched a scheme called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which contains roads, railways, and energy projects linking southwest Pakistan's deep-water Gwadar port with northwest China's Xinjiang. It's the biggest ever overseas investment by China. So how will this project benefit both sides? What can the two countries do to ensure the project can be carried out as planned? 你好, you are listening to People in the Know, presenting your insights into the headline news in China and around the world. I'm Zheng Guan in Beijing. First, People in the Know's Tu Yun speaks to Dr. Khalid Rahman, Director General of the Islamabad-based think tank, Institute of Policy Studies.
The people of Pakistan were waiting for this visit for several reasons. First of all, Mr. Xi is the new leader in China, and the historic Pakistan-China relationship has been continuing despite the changes in leadership in both countries. But of course, every new leader has an opportunity to move forward. And with the kind of initiatives that President Xi is taking within China and outside China, Pakistanis were waiting for that.
Right, and we've seen the $46 billion China-Pakistan economic corridor high on his agenda. So what do you expect this scheme can bring to both countries?
First of all, it is very significant for both countries because for China it will provide access through Gwadar to a large part of the world. And within Pakistan, a lot of development, and as a result of that development, a lot of new opportunities for employment, for investment, and for, of course, livelihood of the people. This is the significant at the bilateral level, but of course, this has a regional and global dimension as well, because the CPEC, although it is not directly a part of the Belt and Road initiatives, it is indirectly linked with that. Of course, CPEC in isolation with these two initiatives would become less significant. Similarly, these two initiatives without having CPEC would be less significant. So in that way, it has regional and global significance as well.
The corridor, as we know, will run through Pakistan's Balochistan province, which is long plagued by a separatist insurgency, criminal gangs, and of Islamist militants. So the effectiveness of the project has been called in question. Do you share similar concerns?
You see, violence has been there in this region for the last several years. And Balochistan is but one manifestation of the overall regional dynamics related to security. Because the region has been facing problems, particularly in Afghanistan, and there is a kind of fallout of that situation on Pakistan, because a number of international players are active in Afghanistan, and they have been using the problems in particularly Balochistan area to their interest, to its vested interest. The situation was very bad during last several years, but particularly with the operations by the government of Pakistan and the Pakistan military forces during last particularly 1 year, situation is getting improved. And there is a political process also